Every country believes its money is its own. But what if I told you the world's currencies are all controlled by the same invisible empire? An empire without flags, without borders, without elections, and yet it decides who prospers and who collapses. This is the story of how a few unelected men built the hidden power structure behind every central bank, and why it still rules your wallet today. Let's rewind to the 17th century. Wars were expensive. Kings were broke. So they made a deal with bankers. You fund my war, I'll give you control of the money. It started in England, 1694. The birth of the Bank of England, the world's first true central bank. In exchange for financing the crown, private financiers were granted the right to issue money as debt. Fast forward to today. Every dollar, pound, or rupee in your pocket is debt, not value. It's the same deal, just digitized. So how does this hidden empire work? Simple. By owning the printing press of nations. When governments need money, they don't print it themselves. They borrow it from central banks, which create it out of thin air. That new money enters the system as debt, owed with interest, meaning more money must always be borrowed to pay the previous debt. It's a self-reinforcing spiral, a financial black hole that guarantees the empire never loses. Behind every central bank stands a network, the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, the central bank of central banks. From its fortress in Basel, Switzerland, the BIS quietly sets global banking rules. It doesn't answer to voters, it answers only to bankers. Think of it as the Vatican of finance, secretive, sovereign, and untouchable. While nations argue about politics, the real power lies in interest rates, liquidity, and credit creation, all engineered from boardrooms most people have never heard of. But every empire faces rebellion. In 2008, the financial system cracked. Lehman Brothers collapsed, markets froze, and for a brief moment, the hidden empire trembled. Trillions vanished overnight. Yet, instead of falling, the empire grew stronger. Central banks printed $30 trillion to save the system, and in doing so, concentrated even more power. Then came 2020. The pandemic hit. Again, the printers roared. More debt, more control. Every crisis became an opportunity to tighten the web. And the next stage is already here. Digital currencies. Central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, promise efficiency, but they also mean total surveillance of every transaction. If money becomes code, whoever controls the code controls you. Today, this hidden empire dictates the cost of your mortgage, the value of your savings, and even whether your business survives a recession. Inflation, inequality, housing bubbles, they're not accidents. They're side effects of a system built to keep nations in perpetual debt and citizens dependent on credit. And the craziest part? Most people still think their governments control their money. Empires of gold have fallen. Empires of paper will too. But the empire of debt, it's still expanding, unseen and unchallenged. Understanding the system is the first step to escaping it, because the real question isn't who prints the money, it's who owns the printer. If the same empire controls every central bank, what happens when it decides to reset the game? Tell me, do you think money is still real?